Butlin's holiday camp, from 1948 up until the turn of the millennium, was an Irish holiday institution for many of us. It was our first real taste of a genuine holiday, and at the time, it was an amazingly formative experience for generations of Irish families. But despite this importance, Butlin ceased operations and closed down about 20 years ago now. But why? Why was such an important destination for Irish holidaymakers closed down? Well, in this episode we're going to explore Butlin's origins, its operations here in Ireland, and finally, the reasons for its eventual closure. So, let's get started. Today, Butlins is a chain of 3 UK-based seaside holiday resorts, and although they are now branded as resorts, they were previously known more anachronistically as holiday camps. So what is a holiday camp exactly? Well, defined in its simplest terms, a holiday camp is a site for holidaymakers with accommodation, entertainment and leisure facilities. Butlin's sites were not the first kind of these camps however, as the first real proto-holiday camp's origins can be traced all the way back to Cunningham's camp in 1894 on the Isle of Man. Cunningham's camps started out small as a self-sustaining youth summer work camp, but eventually evolved into a much larger business, and it continued to grow for the next decade, even inspiring other types of similar summer camps to open in Britain, such as Castor's Camp and Potter's Camp. At the outbreak of World War I in 1914 though, the British government requisitioned Cunningham's camp for the internment of enemy aliens and POWs. During this time, the British military mostly did away with the campsite's tents and wooden huts and erected its first permanent chalet structures for the camp's detainees. And with the addition of these new chalets, the blueprint of the British cultural institution that would eventually become known as a holiday camp was now fully in place. On April 11, 1936, a new holiday camp was founded by South African-born British business entrepreneur Billy Butlin in Skegness, Lincolnshire in England, and was fittingly named Butlins after its founder. Butlin's first holiday camp became an instant success due to its intense focus on guest entertainment, and capitalising on this immense success, Billy would open 4 more Butlin's holiday camps in quick succession between 1938 and 1947. Billy Butlin and the Butlins brand as a whole was now seen as being synonymous with holiday camps, as his success helped to popularise and turn them into a multi-million pound industry and a British cultural institution. Despite his success, Billy still wanted to expand his business further and looked abroad for other markets to break into, and naturally he would look to Britain's closest neighbour, the Republic of Ireland. The Irish market at this time was still heavily influenced by the Catholic Church, and much of the Irish population, only a generation removed from British rule, still harboured many suspicions towards any kind of renewed English influence in Ireland. To the Irish, holiday camps were seen as being an English tradition, and there were many objections raised about a possible English colonial style camp opening in Ireland. However, Billy Butlin worked extremely hard to allay these fears and doubts by giving Irish visitors priority over British tourists and by having a chapel built on site for visitors to receive mass. Billy also insisted that the camp would provide a boon to the local economy by utilising mostly Irish labour in its construction and Irish staff once the site was opened. These measures worked exactly as intended, and Mosney in County Meath was chosen as the site for the new camp, with construction work commencing soon thereafter, and 9 months later in July 1948, the camp was opened by Taoiseach William Norton. Upon opening, the camp became popular almost immediately as it provided an all-inclusive, affordable holiday for working-class Irish families and visitors. The camp was also extremely popular with British tourists throughout the late 1940s and early 50s, as wartime food rationing in Britain drove British holidaymakers to Ireland where there was no such rationing in place. Butlin's Mosney site was tailored to Irish tastes, and though smaller in scale than its British counterparts, could still accommodate up to 2,800 visitors staying in fully furnished chalets. The site also had a lake, an amusement arcade, Ireland's largest fun fair, Ireland's largest swimming pool / indoor water park called Funtropica, shops, mini golf and many more activities and entertainment for children and parents to enjoy. So it wasn't very long before Butlins also became an Irish cultural institution and destination for holidaying families throughout the country. Butlins eventually sold its Mosney site in 1982 to a private company, and it was renamed Mosney Holiday Centre, though almost nothing else changed for the camp apart from the name. The big change, however, would come in the form of a shifting consumer market. Markets and consumer preferences change over time, and it's up to businesses to change with them in order to survive. In this case, holiday camps as a whole were now facing increasingly stiff competition from the rise of cheap packaged sun holidays to countries such as Spain and Portugal. The camps were now also seen as dated and an old-fashioned concept in contrast to new modern resorts in foreign destinations. Staycations were out and holidaying abroad was in, and from the late 1970s, attendance at Mosney slowly began to decline. This decline only ramped up further in the late 80s and early to mid 90s as the Celtic Tiger economy and EU membership saw more Irish families having access to cheap holidays in other countries. This dwindling number of visitors eventually led to Mosney's closure, and its final season was in summer of 2000. With the outbreak of COVID-19 in 2020 and the resulting new travel restrictions, we may see a temporary return to staycation culture, and perhaps we could see a renewal of this type of holiday in Ireland. Centre Park Holiday Village in Longford is very popular right now, so there's still definitely a market there to be exploited. Mosney, for many older Irish generations, and also Irish millennials such as myself, was a huge part of our childhood. We look back fondly on the many amazing and important experiences we had there. For a lot of us, it was our first real holiday. And yes, even though Mosney has been closed for 20 years now, the memories that we made there with our friends and families are timeless.